Hey everyone, yeah, you've probably seen my smaller video updates letting you know what's going on, but yes, I am still around and still kicking. The thing is, like I said in those videos, it's just been a crazy past few days, if not a crazy week at my job, and let's just say I've been tired, wanting to rest, and I think you can kind of understand that. In fact, when I was watching and recording the Warriors and the Cavaliers game 2 last night, I fell asleep through some of it. That's how tired I was. Anyway, as you can see down here, I am here to talk about my new, kind of describe and give my thoughts on my new iPod, the 2014 version, which I think came out last fall. I'm not really sure. They honestly, Apple doesn't really tell you exactly what it is. All they say is it's iPod Touch, and that's about it. I think it's the newest version. I think it's the 6th generation, maybe, in conjunction with the iPhone 6 or iPhone 5 or whatever. Because I remember when I got this one, I got this basically a year or so after the 2nd generation, and they was already starting to talk. Oh, they were already starting to release and distribute 3rd generation, and they were already talking about 4th generation and all that. So, but they were still selling this, and this was still what's the saying? This was hold on, let me get some drink here. They were still. This was still functioning with a lot of the apps that you could download, like with Facebook, Bank of America, Twitter, all those. It still functioned. It still functions with them, but the only thing was nowadays it doesn't really update a lot of them. A lot of them you have to go and transition to this now, or you have to update this to the next system, and that's not easy because basically, from what I've seen, this version of the iPod will not update to what this had. This one or the previous generation had. So anyway, with that said, this still served me very well, and it still does. I kind of mostly use it now for like a timer at my job. Like when I'm getting ready to go to break, do my 15 minutes, I just go to the clock on there and put the timer for 15, and there you go. It lets me know when to get back. And then when I have to get up early, sometimes to work, like this Wednesday, I think I got to be there at 7:30. I set this alarm for about 6, and I'm up at that time. But yeah, this thing served me very well. It still does. Another thing I found out about it, though, is with a lot of devices, throughout time and throughout all the travels and the things you've done with it, it starts to wear down a little bit. It still functions and everything, but it starts to wear down. And what I mean is, basically, one of the main features, one of the main reasons people buy the iPods, whatever generation it is, the iPhones, the Androids, the edges, the razors, whatever you want to call them. The only reason people ever buy them is not just because of it being sort of like a portable computer on the go, but it's mostly a way of listening to your music at any time. You can listen to your music at any time. And the thing is, this was an 8 gig one that I got. This is 8 gigabytes. It's not too bad. And when I would listen to the music, it turned out fine and everything. But then there were a few problems. The problems was, just like with any MP3 player, for a while, it starts to wear down, especially with the headphone jack. The headphone jack shouldn't really matter about what kind of headphone you put in it. Apparently with Apple, though, that might be different, because I've had problems recently in the past few months, I should say, since I think the beginning of this year, where this thing would start to, unless you position the earphone jack very carefully, would not let me listen to the music very well. The music would actually come out just like with any MP3 players. headphone jack after it's been used a lot, it's something comes loose or something gets broken, and all of a sudden all you hear is woo. You hear echoey versions of the music you want to listen to. But here's what's ironic. When I placed these in here, and these have a three-prong deal on them, a three-prong deal, I think you can see that, I'm not really sure. These have a three-prong deal on them. It started to work right. It started to, the music, everything started to sound the way it should. But even though that was a great thing to hear, and obviously it tells me that I need to get another pair of Apple earphones, iPod earphones for this if I ever give it to my mom. But that also, so like I said, what was it? Hold on, I'm trying to think here. Okay. Basically, what I'm saying is that even though it's all great and everything, that I'm finally able to get the music the way I want it to again, there's another problem, and that problem is right here. Now, it looks normal and everything right now, right? But there have been times, several times, where the volume thing will go straight down and just disappear. And even if there's nothing wrong with the headphones or the headphone jack itself, you won't hear no music. It'll be playing, but there will be no music because the volume thing's disappeared. And it's like, what's going on here? So there's something loose inside. So I don't know what it is. But here's what's funny. Yesterday, I was using it to listen to music on the way, so I didn't have to use this much. Or use this as much, all right? I was using it to listen to music. And it sounded okay on the way back. On the way back to work, if you know what I'm saying. Well, not back to work. On the way to work. That's what it is. On the way to work yesterday, it sounded fine. It sounded good. When I was coming home for lunch, usually I get here about 7 minutes after I get out. So yesterday my lunch was about 10:30. I got out of there. I usually leave maybe about 2 minutes afterwards. I get outside. It takes about 3 minutes, sometimes 2.5 minutes afterwards. So because I have to go clock out, walk around. Takes me about a minute or so to get outside. A minute and a half maybe to get outside, depending on how busy we are. And then unlock my bike. So it takes about almost 3 minutes. So usually about 2.5, 3 minutes, right? And I get back, it would be about 10:40. Unfortunately, I didn't get back here till about around maybe a minute or two afterwards. Now you might say, well, what's the big deal? The thing is, I've averaged it to about 40 to 44 to 45 minutes, if not 46 minutes, I have before I have to go to work, before I have to leave. So if I would have left at 10:32 or 10:33, I would have been back around 10:40, which would have given me to about 10:30, maybe around 10:39, 10:40, which gave me about 44, 45 minutes to relax. But with that said, that didn't happen, and I know it's not that big of a deal, and it wasn't. It really wasn't that big of a deal. But the reason I say that is because all of a sudden, the music didn't want to work. It's like I said, the volume thing went down and nothing was working. I mean, obviously the music was playing, but you couldn't hear it. So like I said, it's kind of an issue with this. It's kind of like off and on. So it will work sometimes and then sometimes it won't. I don't know. But we'll wait and see what happens. I'm probably just going to give my mom one of the MP3 players I have that works, and she can listen to that at work or whenever she wants to. Anyway, as you can see also, I don't know if you can see that very well, it's gone through a lot while I've had it. It's gone through a lot, and that's saying something. Now, the big thing anybody always asks when the new ones come out is, what's the big difference? Well, there is a major difference between these two. First of all, you could see that, well, the newer one, which I'm going to just say is the iPod 6th generation, is thinner, while the other one's a little bit more chubbier. And it's flatter, more curvier on top, you could probably see that, more curvier. And the other one's just, like I say, chubby and flat and, you know, kind of like the model that they kept going for a while. Another thing about it, of course, is you've got a camera now. Now, there's no doubt this could have been modified. I mean, these areas here, no doubt could have been modified for cameras. I mean, why would they let you download camera mode if they weren't going to let you modify it? Now, you might say, we have that right there too. And that's true, I do. But I think that's also to modify it to, you know, maybe, I don't know. I don't know what these I think these are mostly like for the Wi-Fi signals, but I think it's also yeah, that's what these are now that I think about it. Because yeah, you could probably take this off and it'd probably go into be a camera for you, but or maybe modify it to where the camera would go right about there. But these are mostly the antennas that get the signal for the Wi-Fi. So that's pretty cool. But like I said, it's kind of weird that they would let you install a camera, and then this is your camera, right? I mean, you got the area right here. But you know, it's weird that they let you do that. They would have that there because watch, listen. See? It takes a freaking picture. It takes a picture, obviously, of what's on your screen, but still, why would they include that if the thing wasn't capable of being modified into camera? Which I'm pretty sure a lot of people said, hey, look, you know, why don't you just give us a camera version? And if we remember right, there were two versions of this when it first came out. A regular version, like the one I have, and the one that was a little bit more expensive that had the camera. Another big difference, unlike this one, another big difference, obviously, that they've been adding, I don't know if they added this recently with this one or not, is you pop up this little thing here, and you could put like a little hook or something on there. They display it in the displays. I didn't get one. I don't know why. But what it lets you do is it lets you put like a little camera hook on there, like what I have on my cameras, and you could actually hold it while you're taking pictures, try to steady yourself with it, which is pretty cool. I'll probably have to add mine, but still. I didn't get one of those things here unless it's in the box and I haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? Which also makes me wonder whether or not this got returned or what. I'm not really sure. But then again, at any store, if you're returning something like this, you got to have everything included, right? That's what I remember, even at my job. Another thing about this too is the fact that yes, it has a camera and everything. It also has a flash on it. A lot of these things nowadays have flashes. These things, like I said, if you would have gotten the other versions for a little bit more, did have them too, I think. But they mostly are more common now with this. And these things rival basically what you get with a regular camera. They do. They rival what you get. I mean, my second older sister has this Samsung camera she bought, and it has Wi-Fi capability. So she's able to send pictures from it right to the Wi-Fi, or right to Facebook. You could do the same with this. This may not be on the level of what that is, when it's like zoom capabilities and stuff. I'm not really sure. But this thing has some good features to it. Another thing it has that obviously I like is FaceTime. Now FaceTime, apparently, according to this, and I'm sure you got other people out there that can explain better, FaceTime basically lets you leave video messages or audio messages. It says enter name, email, or number, and that's for video. It says you could start FaceTime video or audio calls by entering a name, email address, or phone number. And it's the same with this. And basically what that allows you to do is, like, let's say somebody can receive video, they can actually see your face when you, or hear your voice when you're talking to them. I got to get a slip cover for this so it doesn't get too dirty. Another unique thing about this, of course, like I say, is the camera. You got the videos, you got the maps, you've got everything you could hope for on this thing, and that's pretty damn cool. There are other apps. There is a messenger as well. The messenger allows you to send it, I guess, to whoever you have in your contacts list. And what's unique about this as well is it lets you connect your Facebook contacts so that you have them on there as well. So like instead of going straight to Facebook, you can contact whoever you want on the message thing, and that's pretty cool. Now I haven't got any other apps for it because it's only about 16 gigs. Now some people might say that's good, and it might be. And I think the 16 gig is all we sell at my job. I think it is, I'm not really sure. But another unique thing about this too is with the camera, one of the things people like about this now is you can actually scan receipts. You can scan receipts from stores that take the scanning. So in other words, let's say like with the savings catcher, instead of going on the computer and typing it in, which isn't a problem, or going on your Kindle and typing it in, unless of course they finally got the savings app on theirs, I have to check. You could actually scan the receipt, and there you go. And same with tracking a package. I sent a package today to Zara Nizarak, and I can now track it without having to type it in. I just click on the thing, boom, there it is. End of story. So, what other apps do we have here? We have some extras. We have voice memos, context, and tips. Yeah. Cool. There we go. But yeah, it takes a little getting used to after a while. I mean, it took me a while to get used to this. But here's the overall question. As nice and as good as these things are, you know, depending on the version you get, whether it's an 8 gig, 16 gig, I got 16, which I think, like I said, is the only one we sell, or 32 gig, or even 64 gig. I think the ultimate question is, will it ever truly replace your originals or the previous ones you've had? Now, we've always seen people always line up outside the Apple stores or the Apple-related stores or associated stores and all that, just because they want the new iPhone, or just because they want the new Ipod, or they want the newest something from Apple. I mean, like nowadays, with Samsung and Apple, you now got the wrist things that they equal to this. You know how you used to see in the movies, you used to talk with people you see the characters talk to people through the screen, through the camera watch, or whatever it is? Now you get those nowadays. Do we sell those at my job? I think we do, but I think you gotta make sure you get the right one. And I apologize for the bird in the background. But again, the question is, will it ever replace your previous one, even if your previous one is like this? Will it ever replace it? In many ways, yes, but not really. Because just because you have something that's going to allow you to do more doesn't mean it's always going to replace the original. Sometimes the original will still be useful to you because it still have stuff on there you need. Like if you have stories on there, or you have, and again, I apologize for the bird in the background. You have like notes on there you still want to keep, there you go. Or like me, if you want to use it for an alarm clock, there you go. And that's one piece of advice I'll give anybody. When you go out and get the next generation of something like this, always make sure to have the previous generation as a backup. Even if it's, like I say, you're just going to use it for an alarm clock, or if you're just going to listen to the music that's on there, if you're still able to. You know, if you're not having the problems that I do, I'm having. You know, my advice is keep it around. Because that way you won't be using this one as much, but you'll still be using this in return. So you'll still